Today, we are going to talk about how to create a marketing moat around your business. So Uncle Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger like to talk about creating moats around the business, right? So you think about a castle has the water, right? And then the bridge, you can bring the drawbridge up so you have a moat, so you're more defensible, you're more protected. And Naval Ravikant likes to say that there's four forms of leverage. You have code, you have capital, you have labor, and you have media. In this context, we're going to talk more about media. We're going to talk about how to defend your business more around media. And to us, honestly, like media and marketing are the same thing. Like I met a guy at dinner yesterday. He's like, I have a media company. I was like, didn't compute for me. I was like, in marketing? So anyway, go ahead.
Oh no, yeah. Look, people love buying from brands that they know and they trust. The way you do this is you create a media company. Like in all reality, if you look at Nike, they really do have a moat. What's their moat? Their moat is their brand. Why is Nike so much more popular than Adidas or FIFA shoes or New Balance shoes? People just love Nike and the brand. Like, honestly, can New Balance go create a running shoe just as good as Nike? Sure. I don't think it's rocket science. But what makes Nike special is the brand and people's affinity towards that brand. And what I found is, because I can create a huge moat over time, is how do you create that love that, let's say, Nike or Apple does? Of course, good product or service. Eventually, other people will also create a good product or service. So what else? From a marketing standpoint, you create amazing content. So that's one. Two, you build a community. A lot of the community building is mainly just responding to people. So if you have people commenting on your social profiles, respond to them and help them out. If you go to a live event, do things like Eric and I are doing. He mentioned when we're at Affiliate World in Dubai, we're going to be doing a marketing school session and we're going to be talking to people about marketing and answering all their questions. Another strategy that you can end up using is you give away stuff for free. So like free tools, anything that people are used to paying for, it helps build more affinity towards your brand. So a combination of a lot of those things, I believe, and doing things consistently in marketing when it comes to that content creation and giving tools away for free really helps build affinity over time.
That's interesting. So we talk about the brand, but ultimately the good marketing creates a brand over time, and good products ultimately creates a good brand over time. But Coca-Cola as an example, so it's literally sugar water, right? But a brand ultimately tells you a story. It makes you feel a certain way. So Coca-Cola for me, what I remember about it, I haven't drank Coke in years, but I remember when I was a kid, I would go to McDonald's every weekend and there'd be this old guy that would be very nice to me. He would always give me the Happy Meal toy, right? And then I would always be drinking a Coke. So that would bring back memories for me there. Apple, like for me, it's just really high quality. I remember like having the iTouch before the iPod, right? And trying Apple products. I remember I used to hate Apple. I'm like, oh, Apple products suck, right? But now I'm like my LTV, like how much I've spent so far on Apple must be like in the tens of thousands. But let's use another recent example. So Liquid Death is a $700 million a year. It is an aluminum can water company, right? That you can oversimplify and call it that. But what really
it's just water. It's just water. There's nothing special about it. It's just water.
But what happened? They differentiated themselves by what happens. They have really funny commercials. And so like for them, it's like when you remember Liquid Death, it's like, oh, they're funny. Like I like their angle on it. Like they make fun of marketing. Like they're just funny. They got an edge to them. And so that's how they grew. Like they couldn't really differentiate themselves by saying, oh, we're water in a can, like aluminum is safer for the environment or whatever. That's boring because that's not a differentiator. But so what they did is, you know what? I was listening to an interview with the founder. He's like, we hired a creative crew where it's just like when we're putting out creative, it's got to be like Saturday Night Live. It's got to be entertainment. It can't just be like one-offs. And so that's a brand. That's how it makes people feel. That's like media at the ultimate level.
And the other things, they have really funny flavors like Berry Alive or something like that. I think that's one of or Bury It Alive is one of their flavor names. So they're really creative, but that is their moat. And then if someone else tried copying what Liquid Death is doing, it's not that unique and it probably won't do as well. The point that we're making is you got to figure out how to create tons of content. You got to be consistent, try to give away stuff for free, and try to zig when other people zag, like the Liquid Death. And if you do a combination of all that for a long time, your moat's not going to be perfect. You're still going to have competitors, but it really does help separate you from the other players.
Yeah, let's just use this podcast as an example, because this is just going to continue to compound. We haven't even been doing this for a decade, so I'm excited what happens in a decade. But if you think about the core of this podcast, and I'm speaking for you, Neil.
Well, it's been what? How long has it been? 5 years, 6 years?
We're coming up on 5 years. Yeah.
Yeah, it's quite a while.
So anyway, the point is, so the core of this podcast is we love learning, we love teaching, but also we love innovating, and then we love reinvesting. That's literally like our roadmap, right? So Neil's been in business 14 years longer than I have, but this podcast has only been around for 5 years. Just wait till we get to the decade mark, and this thing's just going to continue to compound. But that's how we make people feel. Like when you come to us, like hopefully you feel like you learned something and you got better. And yeah, that's how we want to make you feel. Anything else, Neil?
That's it. Make sure you rate, review this podcast. We really appreciate you guys listening, and we look forward to seeing you tomorrow.
And subscribe to us on YouTube. Goodbye.